What happens when you take the world's biggest rivalry, a century of sporting and political tension, and cram it all into 18 insane days? In the spring of 2011, we got our answer. This wasn't just football. This was an all-out war, fought over 4 matches that would settle 3 major trophies and shove 2 of the greatest teams ever right to the edge. This is the story of how a bitter feud between 2 legendary managers, Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola, boiled over from the press room and onto the pitch, sparking a firestorm of brawls, red cards, and wild conspiracy theories. We're talking about a stretch of games that produced 5 red cards, sideline assaults, and a level of pure hatred that almost tore Spanish football apart. This is the full story of the 4-part saga that will forever be known as the dirtiest El Clásico ever. El Clásico is always more than just a game. It's a clash of cultures woven into the history of Spain itself. You have Real Madrid, the symbol of Spanish royalty and central power, facing off against FC Barcelona, the proud heart of Catalan identity. Every match is a fight for supremacy, but in 2011 the stakes were cranked up to a whole other level. In one corner, you had Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. They weren't just a team, they were a philosophy. A mesmerizing pass and move machine built around a golden generation from their own academy. Xavi, Iniesta, and of course, Lionel Messi. They were the reigning Spanish champions, and most people agreed they were the best team on the planet, playing a style of football that was as beautiful as it was lethal. And in the other corner stood their polar opposite, Jose Mourinho. The special one was brought to Real Madrid with one obsessive goal: to shatter Barcelona's dominance. Mourinho was a master of mind games, a tactical genius who built his teams to be disciplined, powerful, and absolutely ruthless. He had a squad of superstars, led by the incredible Cristiano Ronaldo, designed to be the perfect counterpunching weapon. The bad blood had been simmering, but it truly exploded in November 2010, when Guardiola's Barca humiliated Mourinho's Madrid with a shocking 5-0 beatdown. That loss wasn't just a loss, it was a deep embarrassment that planted a seed of revenge in Mourinho. He swore to himself he would never be humiliated like that again, so the stage was set for a clash like no other. As if by fate, the football calendar decided these 2 giants would go head-to-head 4 times in just 18 days between April 16th and May 3rd, a LaLiga match, the Copa del Rey final, and a 2-legged Champions League semi-final. Everything was up for grabs. Domestic pride, a national cup, and the biggest prize of all, European glory. This was more than a series of games. It was a war on all fronts for the very soul of Spanish football. The Clásico series kicked off on April 16th at Real Madrid's Santiago Bernabeu for a La Liga showdown. You could feel the tension in the air, but the game itself was a cagey, tactical battle. Mourinho, clearly scarred by the 5-0 thrashing, did something different. He moved his Portuguese defender, Pepe, into the midfield with one simple mission: blow up Barcelona's rhythm and haunt Lionel Messi's every step. The match ended 1-1, with both Messi and Ronaldo scoring from the penalty spot. It was a tactical draw, but it was really just the opening act for the chaos that was about to unfold. Just 4 days later, they met again, this time in Valencia for the Copa del Rey final. This was for a trophy, something real they could hold, and the intensity shot through the roof. The match was brutal. It was a 120-minute war of attrition, with fouls flying everywhere and the stadium buzzing with jeers and whistles. Mourinho's game plan of physical warfare was on full display. After a scoreless 90 minutes, the final dragged into extra time. Madrid's relentless physicality seemed to be finally wearing Barcelona down. And then, in the 103rd minute, it happened. Angel Di Maria whipped in a perfect cross, and Cristiano Ronaldo leaped into the air, connecting with a thunderous header that rocketed past the keeper. Madrid had drawn first blood. Mourinho had his first trophy in Spain, and he'd won it against his arch-nemesis. It was a massive psychological win, but the aggression on the pitch had set a dark, ugly tone for everything that would come next. But the war was far from over. What happened next in the Champions League would take this rivalry from a fist fight to a full-blown psychological meltdown of conspiracies and controversy. On April 27th, the rivalry hit its ugly peak in the first leg of the Champions League semi-final. The pre-match press conferences had already turned into a war of words. The hatred between the coaches was now so thick you could feel it, and it was about to explode onto the pitch. The game at the Bernabeu was ugly from the first whistle. It felt less like a football match and more like a collection of street fights. Players from both teams were constantly swarming the referee, faking injuries, and getting into scuffles off the ball. The halftime whistle didn't calm things down. Instead, a huge brawl broke out in the tunnel. Barcelona's substitute goalie, José Manuel Pinto, even got a red card for slapping a Madrid delegate. But the moment that would define this entire saga came in the 61st minute. Real Madrid's enforcer Pepe lunged into a high-footed challenge on Barcelona's Dani Alves. The referee, Wolfgang Stark, didn't think twice and showed Pepe a straight red card. The Bernabeu went insane. Mourinho was furious, sarcastically clapping at the decision before being sent to the stands himself. To this day, that red card is a source of bitter debate. Madrid's camp claims Pepe never even touched him, a point they later tried to prove with video. Barcelona and many others argue the challenge was dangerously high and reckless, contact or not. With Madrid down to 10 men and their manager gone, the game was turned on its head, and in that chaos, a genius took over. Lionel Messi seized the moment. First, he neatly poked in a cross to give Barca the lead. Then, with only minutes left, he scored one of the most legendary goals in Champions League history. He picked up the ball near the halfway line, weaved past 4 Madrid defenders as if they weren't there, and coolly slotted the ball into the net. It was a moment of pure, breathtaking brilliance that was a world away from the ugliness surrounding it. Barcelona won 2-0, but the result was almost an afterthought. In the post-match press conference, Mourinho went on an incredible rant, spinning a wild conspiracy theory that accused UNICEF, referees, and UEFA of plotting to help Barcelona win. The fourth and final clash, the second leg at Camp Nou on May 3rd, felt almost like a formality. The real damage had been done. Barcelona, with a comfortable 2-0 lead, controlled the game while a tense, hostile energy hung over the stadium. A 1-1 draw on the night was more than enough to send them to the Champions League final with a 3-1 aggregate win.